It's past 2:30. Let's get this workshop going. And Joe, I don't know who's taking the lead, you or John, but
I'll jump up.
and
Diane will be joining us, so she should be here momentarily.
well, perfect. We really don't have a firm agenda on anything. I mentioned to the board that one thing that we wanted to talk about was the lateral insurance. Another thing we wanted to talk about was how maybe our American Rescue funding, maybe there's possible projects that we could might benefit both parties, or at least benefit to what I want to say is benefit the residents of the town of Elkton.
There you go.
Is what I want to make it very clear on. But also on the Zoom, we have we got our members from KCI. I see a couple members there, all smiles, which is good.
That's an interesting approach in this day and age.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a hybrid meeting, but go ahead and kind of, if anything you kind of want to talk about, let's
First thing I want to do is let you know who's here for our team.
perfect.
We have John Thader, who Senior Vice President, Operations and Engineering side, and Kathy Thader. And yes, the name is the same. They happen to be married. But Kathy's not only in engineering, but she's also, there's Diane. She's also in charge of our service line protection clinic. So she knows all the answers. And there's Diane.
Hello,
Just getting kicked off.
Hi, guys.
Diane Taylor, our CEO and chair of our board, who I believe all of you know would have met over time. Adam Gold, who does our system planning and design. Al Wine, who's now with our team. You may have remembered him from a former life, but
Never met him.
oh, you poor unfortunate soul. But there's our crew here today, and we do want to walk through with you the service line protection plan program and how that works and how we think it could benefit the town by the way that we handle that. And also walk through what we would like to talk through in terms of some new potential interconnections with the town that we think would benefit the town and quite honestly, the county as well. So let me start with service line protection plan.
Perfect.
And hopefully, and if not, we should certainly make sure you do. We have passed along a copy of a proposed plan with the town, a marketing plan with the town, right before the pandemic hit. And of course, we all know what happened then. From our experience, we started the plan back in 2005. And the origination of the plan is because even in our building, folks would get calls saying, I have a water leak. You go out and you check on it, and it turns out it's on the customer side, because from the curb in is the customers. Now, the customer doesn't really like that answer, because now they're stuck. What do I do? I don't deal with plumbers, I don't know anything. Well, that also spelled opportunity. They're calling us anyway. We know plumbers. We can handle getting that done for people. And it is not an insurance program. Please do not use that term. It is a protection plan. Basically, folks enroll for a monthly or quarterly fee. And in return, if you have a break on that water service line or on the wastewater service line, so separate plan, or now we've extended to a leak in your home on a water line. If you have the coverage, you call us. We have dispatch available 24/7, so we always have somebody there to answer the call. We handle having the plumber come out and the plumber making the repairs. And you have no further responsibility for that repair unless for some reason it goes over a set number. I mean, if it's more than $5,000, Kathy can correct me when I'm wrong about the number I'm throwing out, but up to. We have found people really appreciate it. On the water side, we now have about 25% of our customers in Delaware who voluntarily enrolled in the plan. On the sewer side, it's about 20%. That plan started a little bit later. We've offered it now to our customers in Maryland. But then we went and created a marketing partnership with Northeast. Because unlike some others, and I won't name names, you probably know who we're talking about, it's not our intention to come into a town and start marketing what we do. We think we partner with the town on a whole number of matters, Elkton and other towns. And this is the same kind of thing. we're not just gonna randomly mail people the offer for the program. We like to basically co-market it with the town.
Mhm.
They know you provide the services on the water and sewer side. We have the expertise. Artesian at this point is obviously a known name in the community at large. What does the town get? Well, your customers end up with the ability voluntarily to enroll in the plan and have that protection. They don't have to worry about that problem when there's a leak. We handle all the work. We put together the marketing program. We have the contract with the plumbers. We make sure things get done. In return for the partnership, in return for the fact that how do we market to the town residents? Through the town, because you build them, you have that regular communication. You get a 10% commission on anybody who's enrolled and paying their fee. It's worked in Northeast. I mean, Northeast, we've been doing this now since 2019. They have about 4% at this point enrollment on the water side. Again, pandemic kind of got in the way because everybody's attention has been turned elsewhere. But over time, we would expect anybody, you'll see the kind of enrollment like we've seen over time. You know, it takes time for it to build, it takes time. A lot of it is the success of the program is word of mouth. When somebody's in the plan and they tell their neighbors, oh, I had that leak, and they came out and they took care of it, and I didn't have to pay a dime. And it all got done well. We care about the job being done right because it's our reputation on the line. So, you know, we are going to want to make sure the job is done right. So that is that program. Now, it's pretty straightforward. What we've given the town in terms of the document is basically the document that we gave to Northeast. You know, so what you read there is what is in place at Northeast. If the town's interested, you have any questions, first of all, this is your first opportunity.
Yeah.
Kathy's here for that reason because she handles it day to day. She can answer things I wouldn't have a clue. So, any questions on that?
Yeah, actually, I got a few. The, and I do apologize, I don't have the brochure in front of me. It's probably my pre-pandemic folder, but not that I need to see it right
Just
now.
I could probably find one.
But the coverage for like on the water line side, is it for, you wouldn't replace a whole line, you would fix the repair?
It is done at the decision of the plumber who's out there as to, can we repair this? If so, it'll be a repair.
Okay,
If not, okay, it gets replaced. I mean, obviously, the first thing you always try to do is see is if you can do a repair. Now, mind you, you can have more than one call in a year.
yes,
You know, if the repair doesn't work, there's another call, they'll come back out again. It's not in our interest or the plumber's interest to do a repair and it's not gonna work because you only end up out there again spending more money on our part.
so, I'll use an example of last year, we had our pumps went down at the reservoir and we were able to connect in with Artesian and pull more water. We have about, I don't know, 25 houses that are lower elevation than the where the water can pump. So there's pumps. What's the word I'm looking for?
We have booster pumps.
Booster pumps. So if there was a failure in the water service to get into the house and there was a booster pump, for example, and I think there's about 25 homes, and they were to burn up because of lack of water, and I don't know if that is the answer. Is something like that covered, or is that additional?
This is where I'm gonna turn to Kathy.
No, I can address that one. First, there's two things there. One is, we don't cover booster pumps. We cover all the laterals, but we don't actually cover, booster pumps, grinder pumps, different pieces of equipment. And then, actually, we cover lots of stuff. I feel bad, it's really the first two things you're asking. But, the second thing is, a force majeure, like, kind of like, if that's a force majeure, if somebody floods your basement.
Yeah.
That probably wouldn't be covered. We'd have to look at it on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. Can you go over the costs per month and by quarter real quickly?
I'll do it by month because those are the numbers that happen.
Okay,
I think it'd probably be quarterly though.
Well, probably, yeah, I mean, if you bill your customers quarterly, we bill quarterly.
yes, yeah.
I happen to pull quickly the per month numbers and multiply them by 3, and you can get the quarterly. Water line protection program is $5.50 a month. The sewer service line is $11 a month.
Mhm.
And the internal plumbing is $8.50 a month.
Now, internal plumbing, help me understand what that is again.
Basically, it's the line within the home. The service line coverage just gives you the coverage from the curb to the house. Now, what we found over time, and it's probably only been since 2015 that we did the internal plumbing. Just because, you know what, people wanted to have the ability to say, same situation, have this leak inside the house.
So if I had a leak underneath of my sink that had a bad washer in it for all these years, and I was paying that extra $8.50 a month, that would qualify?
Yes, it would. Even so much, as a lot of times they get there and they replace that rusty bolt or something.
Yeah,
They wind up having to go under. Some of the ones that they actually torn out people's floors. Like if, you know, I mean, if you know, you start touching it, it's just degrades.
mm-hmm,
It covers, breaking open your concrete floor, replacing the pipe on your floor. It pretty much stops the valve. So all, we don't, again, don't cover appliances, but it stops at the valve to the appliance. Like the refrigerator is a valve to refrigerator,
Yeah.
a valve to your dishwasher. We cover that valve, but not the appliance itself. Everything, all the clogs in your house.
I think the pricing structure is pretty reasonable, really.
Well, we wouldn't have the kind of enrollment.
Yeah,
People had an issue with paying that kind of money for it because of the return. I know this goes back over 25 years ago. When I moved into my house that I'm in now still, within the first couple of years, I had nothing but copper pipe with pinhole leaks. Over $3,000 later, I no longer had any copper pipe. Boy, it would have been nice to have somebody else pay for it.
do you have to inspect the home prior to
No,
them signing?
no. And basically, we actually considered that back when we started the program. It just is unreasonable to have to undergo that effort for the fact of, now what we do have is you're not covered until 30 days after you enroll. So, you know, you can't just enroll and tomorrow call because,
Yeah,
so that becomes the protection on, you know, you're not walking in.
I've always, and I don't know if the board knows the story, and I'll jump in here and tell a quick story if I could. The reason why I got involved in politics was because of a broken lateral right across the street here where I live. And the town, I called up that morning and I saw this water coming up out of the ground in front of my house here on North Street. And I called and the Public Works Department was fantastic. They said, yes, we'll be out to fix it. And next thing you know, I get home around 5 o'clock in the afternoon and they're still there, but they couldn't go onto my property because I had the old terracotta water line, and I guess they were trying to connect. Now it's on my property, and I'm like, are you kidding me? You got my permission to fix it. Mr. Alt, we can't fix it. But to make a long story short, I know how that hurts. I think at that time I had to come up with a couple $1,000s in 1990 and being able to get that done in a timely fashion. It was a tough situation for me. And I think that if I knew that I could have been paying $5.50 a month to have that type of protection, it would go a long way.
I can tell you what most people really like about our program is the availability of plumbers. Because people talk about when you call a plumber yourself, good luck getting a plumber out there for 3 days or 5 days. We have a really established network of plumbers, and we get them out the same day. And that's what people think is that we always send a survey out to people who have repairs. That's always their comment. Can't believe I had a plumber the same day.
Well, that's huge.
And then I keep talking. And then I also know that we have plumbers come out because other programs out there. Sounds like somebody approached your town or sent flyers to your town.
Yeah.
Okay. Those programs, they have to qualify. So we have our plumbers who get instant answers. So you go out there, if you do with a third party, they'll call back and say, well, I can't do anything, I have to call corporate. And 3 or 4 days later, they have permission to make the repair because they had to call corporate in Florida or corporate somewhere else. Our plumbers call us and we have an answer the same day. So they pretty much go out there and make the repair right away, as opposed to we call it the for-profit ones, the third party. It's a whole nightmare getting plumbers in your house.
Could I ask a question? Is this only applicable to owner occupied properties?
No, we can also, do it to, well, it's to landlords, I'm sorry, yes, you can be, the exclusion is, we don't like to do multifamily houses where the pipes are sharing the wall. If you had a bank of condos and all the pipes run up different walls, we wouldn't cover that because we can't distinguish who owns what, But you can own a house and cover your house for your tenant.
Okay, because about 50% of the homes in Elkton are owned by other companies or LLCs or whatever. So I don't know if they'd be eligible for a protection plan.
Yeah, but it would be the property owner, not the tenant.
Oh, I know that.
Right, but
That's what I'm saying.
yes, but we certainly would do that. All the single family homes that we have as rentals in town would be eligible.
Okay.
But as we know, the landlord is gonna have well, I guess the other question is, I was thinking it would go on our water bill, but this would be a separate service paid to Artesian. The dollars, if they decide to come on board, explain that process to us.
But again, I'll let Kathy.
Okay, so we do cover, you'd be a non-Artesian customer. Artesian customers, we include a line on their bill. But people like Northeast and people in Delaware who are our customers, we bill them quarterly. So every quarter you get a bill.
Right.
And it can be like ACH, you can make it simple. You can just be, pay every month or come to your checking account like you do other bills.
But we would bill them directly.
You would bill, so just to go through the process, we would co-market this. We would advertise it, social media, however we do it. And then at that point, I would say that, do you do the mailings, or do we do the mailings, or do we partner on the mailings?
The mailings are typically partnered,
Okay,
and often the one mechanism to use is your own billing because it's easy to do that, but also separate mailings. But the contact would be coming back to us because we have the people who answer the phones, take in the forms. We would then sign the person up, begin billing them, be able to give the town the list of, each quarter, here are the people enrolled, how much they paid, here's your commission.
so what I'm seeing is if there's room on our water bill, we would put, hey, we're offering a protection service. Please contact Artesian at this number for more details.
But actually, a couple of things, so we did it in the Northeast, they had a fix on their bill. So we put a little bill message saying, Elkton is partnering with Artesian Water for this exciting new program and brochure enclosed, inside the brochure. And then we also had a letter that came out from the mayor or just the mayor, right?
At the time it was
Okay.
there.
Yeah, saying, kind of introducing the program, saying that you're partnering with Artesian, you support this program, other brochure goes in there. So we kind of hit them multiple times initially, just so that the message goes in.
How long have you been with Northeast?
We
I
signed with them in
Yeah.
December of 2018 is when we signed, and it was 2019 when we began to market with them. But again, timing ended up being pandemic timing.
So there's no deductibles?
There's
Share?
no deductible. There is a cap. And I believe, if I'm right, Kathy, it's 5,000 water, 8,000 wastewater.
Yeah, so I can tell you, I should almost never go over. So the water is 5,000, the sewer is 8,000. And I can't count on one hand number of times over the water and sewer. The internal is less actually. The internal, they get 2 service calls a year, $2,500 a piece.
Does anyone from the board have any questions in regards to this program?
I was here like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when did I come in? I can't remember.
It's probably almost 3 years
3 years
ago now.
ago. I can't remember who I met.
No longer.
I really, I love the idea. I think it's voluntary. The residents, if they want to take advantage of it, they can take advantage of it. We just have to figure out how we can put it together. But if you, I'd like to ask the board to give it a little, digest it a little bit, and we'll make a final decision at the next meeting.
I
If
wrote
the
down.
I'm sorry, if the town does not participate, then will you take over the marketing and just
I mean, we
contact everybody?
would always have the option, of course, but that's not the kind of thing we like to do with the town's on board. Because, again, these are your water customers, your sewer customers.
Right,
we think it's much better for all parties that, yep, we're all in this, the town, mayor, council, commissioners. You see the benefit of it, we see the benefit of it. So it's being offered jointly. It also gives the town the ability to, because instead of us just pulling a general mailing list, obviously, we're working through your building, your list to make sure we're communicating with people, and in return, you get the commission. You know, for being out there saying, yep, this is the appropriate party, this is a good program. And again, feel free to read, and if you don't have, I can certainly forward again. The plan itself, because it provides all the details that we're talking about. But like anything, you know, it has if we're not performing, you know, we're not here. You're not working with us. So, you know, it has the protections necessary for everybody.
Joe, doesn't the town get to review all of the documents?
Oh, yeah, certainly.
So
I mean, we don't sit down
there
there without going through the town, so you can see exactly the marketing materials.
And I can tell you, we've done it for Northeast too. Every once in a while, you get a customer who knows going to be prickly. You know, we always give you a heads up. We'll call and say, you know, we just, like, here's an example. When we went to Northeast, one of the, somebody tried to kind of pull a fast one. After 31 days, they had their house torn apart. They were trying to use us as sort of like, come in and install this new plumbing. So we rejected it. So we called the mayor and said, just want to give you a heads up. We had this case, want to give you, you know, make sure you're aware of it if it comes through the complaint. So we make sure that you'd be aware of anybody who wasn't happy. Brian has a question.
Brian, you got a question?
Yes, sir. Thank you for letting me be on this call. I appreciate it. Just a couple of topics I want to bring up. One, just a request. Could Legia and I get a copy of that pamphlet you're referring to so we could review it in full and let you know if we have any further thoughts on it?
Absolutely.
Great, thank you. So I'll save my detailed questions once I get a chance to review that. A couple of topics that came to mind. One, with this teaming effort, if the town decides to pursue it, there's a great opportunity for the town to gather important information from this on-site plumbing work. As an example, as you know, the state and EPA is providing a lot of funding for replacing all lead services. Could we make sure there's a mechanism so that data gathered by the on-site plumber is provided to Elkton to help us update our GIS and asset management databases?
Yeah, I think that would be a great point.
What kind of data, because we collect some data, what kind of data would you want? Something we're
What kind of
collecting.
data would you need, Brian?
Yeah, we can give you a list. It's only a half dozen items, mainly the material of the pipe, sometimes the location of curb stops, the location of where the line goes into the house. Basically, we're not going to add time to the plumber's work out there. It's just while he's out there, if he can spot a couple of key pieces of information for the water service line, the more information we can gather, the better, since the plumber's already out there. The other thing, I'm
I
sorry.
have just some information is, because some things, like a meter pit, so I'm not sure he'd be the right person to locate. Doesn't have locating equipment on his truck.
Yeah, I understand. Again, we're not asking the plumber to do any additional exploring or data gathering than he would already be doing to handle his scope of work out there.
Once we see the list, I'm sure we can figure out how to work with it.
And that's it. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
provide what it is, and then we can sort out what's work.
Right, so what it is, I'm not sure, right, if it's something in there.
Agreed. And that's looking forward a little bit. I guess the second topic that came to mind is, with this teaming effort between Elkton and Artesian, is there an option to make sure we're supporting local plumbers who are living and working in Elkton?
Boy, I would love to support local farmers. I've had zero success.
Yeah, let's put it this way, we're always open to taking in any additional references.
We'd love more.
And we have 2 active plumbing companies, I know 3 now on the list, but we're always open to other alternatives.
Mhm.
And as we continue to grow what we're doing in Maryland, yes, maybe,
I think, Joe gave me a name of a local plumber in Maryland. I think we called him 10 times, Joe.
and get a response, yeah.
I think we can find
You
him.
probably know
Even
them
now, there's
before.
so many plumbers are very busy out there, and they just don't need the work. And
Sometimes we have trouble getting a plumber,
I'm serious, it's
so I
amazing.
understand that, and we're local,
I I think the long and the short of it, if we can find a local plumber who wants to be in the program,
We'd love to have.
definitely want.
Yeah, that's it. All they have to do is go through our qualifications.
Great. I look forward to getting that extra additional information, and that's everything on mine. Thank you for your time.
Very good.
Thank you, Ryan. Does the board have any questions on this at all at this point?
You know, I did forget one thing, as something that, as a non-artesian customer, because when there's a water leak, somebody talks about their water line leaking, we send our inspector out, he determines whether it's in the street or at the property, you know, like how you talked about, right, where the water was. We would still have you to go out there and determine that it's actually at the house before we go out there. We don't want to get out there and determine it's on the street. We want your guys to make the first, determination of where the leak is.
Yeah, and I guess that's the question, is how do you handle that today if somebody calls?
I was, our public works always goes out to a week.
That's what I would
So
expect.
nobody's gonna call anybody, but either the police at night or our Department of Public Works or me or the mayor commissioner. And they're not gonna call Artesian either during the program.
Right,
So we'll be able to determine where the leak is.
and that's it. And then usually, I mean, in our shop, it's pretty straightforward, I think. It's, if somebody goes out and finds that it's on the customer side, it's then just saying to the customer, if you are enrolled in,
Right.
you know, call, otherwise you need to find a plumber.
Well, you should have been enrolled.
Yeah, well, that's fine if you want to go there. I didn't say that.
So my kitchen sink is leaking, I just call you. That's it? Simple as
Yeah,
that?
yeah, well, that's the question I was gonna ask earlier. If public work, wouldn't they be the initial person that go out? Before you
Not
guys,
internal, not
and then they
internal.
would call you guys, not us?
Well, it's really the customer, the enrolled participant is the one who would call us at that point in time if it's confirmed it's on their side. If it's an internal leak in the house and they have the internal plan, then they wouldn't call Public Works. You know, they would just call our number because, oh, the line going to my kitchen sink is leaking. Let me go call because I need somebody to come out and take care of it.
And that's a 24-hour man line.
Joe, I think the partnership there is confusing as to the responsibility and the accountability on our part. In other words, Elkton's not really partnering in the service.
Right, exactly. I mean, you're not responsible for doing anything with the plumbers and repairs, et cetera. It just is that initial, you get the call, somebody saying, I have a leak out front. Public Works goes out, says, the leak's on the town side, you make the repair, or says, nope, that's on your side. It's your responsibility. If you're enrolled in a program, you know, feel free to call the number you have. If not, you need to call a plumber. But everything else from that point on is us. We get the plumber out, the repairs get made, all the contact with us.
Yeah, what you just said is very simplistic. I like that statement.
Yeah.
Jill Nard?
Yeah, I'm just digesting all of, because I'll.
Yeah, give us a few weeks to digest it, and I think we'll have a.
Very good. And if you have any other questions on that, just reach out, let us know. Kathy has all the details.
I think we're gonna end up saying, work it out with Lou and we'll get it done.
There we go.
Right.
I appreciate it. The other matter we had that we want to bring to the table today are interconnections. And just as the background, right now, there's 3 interconnections between Artesian and the town. There's the one at Red Hill Road, which we know the town has been using.
It's
for
crazy.
time as
I've only been to
necessary.
one.
No,
Yeah,
there's, Bell Hill Road, there's one.
Yep, I'm gonna give you the other 2.
Down on 545.
Yeah, because Bell Hill Road,
Yeah.
which actually is one where we're really effectively water through the town to serve areas up there that are already served. And we pay the town 20% more than what you pay for our water. You buy it from us.
Would you like to buy a little bit more?
Well, I'll get there in a
Oh,
moment.
okay.
And then the third is what we inherited when we purchased the county water system, which is at Route 7. It was initially meant to serve folks who had contaminated wells. And the town that entered into an agreement with the county, but now we have that interconnection. We'd like to talk about at least 2 additional locations for interconnections, and I'll explain why as Adam and John here are busy bringing up the maps, because it'll make it easier. And this is Adam's area of expertise, moving water around. Maybe. Some of us us for sure, but we'll deal with it.
Can you guys see it online? Brian, can you see it, or we gotta turn your, we're gonna turn you a little bit. They don't need to see us anyhow. Maybe we can.
Need to follow.
I'll screen the word.
And I believe we're gonna have to, I'm not sure that I can get that at that angle.
So how do you want it?
Let's do this.
Because we need, we need everybody to be able to see it, so we're gonna.
Bring them, yeah, that's gonna be a little
Yeah, I'll.
Would,
heavy, isn't it?
would it be better if we shared our screen of Elkton's water map? So you-
I think you guys are spots for it.
Not sure. Hang on just a second, Ryan.
Are you getting closer to them? I could.
You can go this way.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that.
Yeah.
I think we're more concerned about the red dots. They can see the red
Yeah,
dots.
it is the red dots, and actually, I think most of it will be pretty
I
self-explanatory.
am going to go sit in that chair. No, I can't.
Slide it back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna, nope. Gonna sit over here.
Okay, perfect.
So there's the Red Hill Road interconnection coming in, which heads over to the reservoir. There's Bell Hill, which is where we're taking water from the town and effectively wheeling it through. And the Route 7 interconnection. We like to talk about two new interconnections, but one, let's start over here on Route 40 state line. We know, and actually, really do appreciate this economic development, clean nanomedicine is coming to town. We know a little bit about clean nanomedicine because they were at Principio, and we understood what their water needs when they were thinking of staying there, and that didn't work out. So we know you have another nice water user coming into town here, plus you have a lot of other things happening on that end of town. We have the capability right there to quickly and easily get you more water for your needs. Basically, under the same kind of agreement as we have up here at Red Hill Road. That would give the town the ability that you have issues with your well fields, et cetera. You know that there's another source of supply available. It would have to be like Red Hill Road, some minimum, 50,000 gallons a day or something, just to keep water moving. But we could probably easily promise you 1 million gallons a day of water there, if you should need it there. We think that would benefit the town, and it's a natural because you're not far away from there with me. We're not far away from there with me, but it's going to be right on into clean nanomedicine, your Southfields development, et cetera, as they occur, and not just be what happens if a well field goes down or you suddenly have, in the day and age we live in, the reason why we like having multiple sources of supply. Suddenly you find that contaminant that you got to take the well field out of service until you install the treatment. Well, that's painful if you don't have the ability to keep moving water around, and that would give the town that benefit. The other is over here at Route 7/Route 279. And in that part of the world right now, the existing interconnection is basically just a meter on a 4-inch line. What we would propose is instead tying into, we have a 10-inch main that runs along 279 there, putting the interconnection on the 10-inch main. That will allow a couple of things. Again, this would be set up the same kind of way as the Bell Hill Road interconnection is with the town. But Northrop Grumman is building their new building. They've come to us saying they like the additional water supply. It's not a big water user, but it is a little bit of a water user. They need the fire protection. Well, the main's right there. Let's interconnect, be able to give them that water that they need and allow it to be the source going into where the existing handful of customers on Route 7. It also would allow water to flow potentially in the other direction of Blue Ball if needed at some point in time. We propose to make that a true interconnection instead of really what today is just a metered service agreement, and have it with the terms that say like Bell Hill, hey, it's what you pay us plus the 10% for the water we use. It allows the town also to get the benefit of the water being served in Northrop Grumman, because guess what? It's really your water, so you're getting paid for it. The one thing we have to do with Northrop Grumman in that service and these interconnections, it's all master water and sewer plan amendment with the county. So, not a big deal, but that's just part of the process. When we do these things, we have to go to the county and say, here's what we're doing, put it in the master water and sewer plan so everybody's on the same page, here's why. So if what we'd like to have is just the especially with the town. I have Adam here because he knows water flows much better than I do. You have your folks obviously available as well. You know, the ability to move water, but the general concept being Route 40, much like Red Hill Road's interconnection, really, you know, what you saw on the ones that had purchased the other, a new interconnection out on 279 that matches what the interconnection agreement of Belleville Road effectively does, and being able to move water that way for the benefit of the town, and also for the benefit of, in effect, the town's neighbors. So with that, any questions?
What's the Norfolk from and how much water do they need on a daily basis?
It was what, 30,000 gallons a day?
Between 25 and 30.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge amount of water, quite honestly. But it's important to them, obviously, as they're putting up their new center.
One thing we did find out when we ran the flow test up there with the town is that there was very high fire flows. So there's always been kind of a concern that you didn't really have enough flow in that area to do much, but I want to say we were flowing a couple thousand gallons a minute.
Yeah, it was over, we flowed the hydrant that was near the YMCA with the town, and we got a little bit more than 2,000 gallons a minute on that test. But one of the questions, the open questions that we still have is, if there were a fire event, how long would that flow be available? We know that there's instantaneously that flow is there, but if it's a 2-hour fire event, how long would that water be?
That water would come from a Blue Ball Tower,
Right.
depending on the elevation of water in that tower and the consumption and demand for other users. And you have to have an analysis done there. That'd be the issue. If you go to the tower full, you're gonna be good with pressure.
Right, and with Norfolk Grumman, they have their own tank as well.
They do.
So it's really, the analysis has to be in conjunction of the town system, what they have on site. So what does it give them in terms of fire flow protection?
Yeah, they're planning on having some resources on their property for fire.
They always have, and they're. But again, if that proposal is, acceptable, we can certainly give you the form of agreements to make sure conceptually that it's something that the town thinks is appropriate to go down the road with.
The water being served like to Grumman, for example, is that in the agreement with you guys at this point? I mean, is that from the Elkton West?
Actually,
See,
Norfolk Grumman right now is, I would say, no man's land out there.
Okay,
And it just so happens though, we're gonna have water main, we're not far away today, the water main's going that way anyway. They came to us and said, Artesian, we have this issue. They have an existing interconnection with Triumph.
Yeah.
But they don't want to rely on it. And again, we're not gonna get into that, but they have their reasons. They'd rather have water coming down that's gonna come down 40 Nottingham Road anyway.
now, north of, I guess I would say north of Triumph Industrial Park, that area that's in the county, are you able to serve that now with water up there, or do we need to?
Well, actually, what this would do is allow at least initial service by coming from the town, running up Blue Ball Road.
Running up Blue Ball Road, which would service a couple of those parcels that.
Exactly. I mean, much like Bell Hill, one day we're gonna have Maine that ties all this together on our side. But today, that's not the practical solution. The practical solution is we're adjacent to the town. And in fact, allow the town to benefit because, we'll purchase the water from you. And you'll get that benefit as these folks are trying to move forward with their plans. The timing of things on Blue Ball Road, your guess is better than mine.
Yeah, and I have no guess. I just know that there's been interest, parcels asking us for annexation. They've asked us for water and sewer up that way, but I just, the infrastructure side, and we leave it to the experts in most cases. And Brian, you and Luigi, are you digesting this? Do you see what is being proposed?
Yes, yeah, we can see it. I guess my initial thoughts are there are a lot of topics and discussion points from our end, and perhaps without drilling in too deep for this upfront presentation, if we could get, if we could see for lack of a better term, a preliminary proposal or agreement from Artesian, give us, a week or so to digest it. And then ideally, we could have a meeting, with Artesian, Elkton, and KCI to talk through all these details that are popping into my head right now, but I suspect we don't want to get to that level of detail at this point.
And actually, I think we would greatly appreciate, and I think that maybe the best approach would be if in the next week or two, if you had dates and times and other dates and times with others, with our folks, I think the initial step is for the technical people. I would say I'm not one of the technical people, Adam is, to sit down together and walk through all that. We greatly appreciate that. So if you could share dates and times, among the technical parties, that would be perfect.
Absolutely. Mayor Alton and Lewis, if you're on board with that, that's what we'll do.
Joe, would the construction cost of the line on Route 40 be the responsibility of the town?
What we would propose at 40, for instance, is we'll pay on our side to get to the state line, the town pays on your side to get to the state line. I can't remember the exact amount of feet, but it's not a lot on either side. And if we could do something along the way, we've done it before with the meter vault, et cetera. So, we've been down that road before.
That was similar to the Red Hill.
Exactly. Exactly.
One of the things that we really think is important for the town is that on Route 40, we think that where we're coming in, and again, KCI can help us with the hydraulics, but we think that we could be that backup, clearly that backup source for Southfields too, through that network of piping, which would give you really a true benefit of being able to see your growth go without having to worry about secondary types of supply.
I can tell you that we've all been in partnership. I guess the town of Elkton and Artesian have been partners for quite a few years now. And being one of the people that was on the outside of the agreement with Artesian, I always kind of shook my head at why did we need to partner with Artesian, for example. And now that I've been involved now for 8 years, this go around, these interconnects are needed. They are needed. And I think it protects our, we're going to pull groundwater, we're going to pull water from the Big Elk Creek, and we're going to supply as much as we can for our community. But all it takes is one mishap. I mean, one crazy little mishap, like the pumps breaking down at the reservoir. And you know how important it is to have backup sources and connections coming in. And I think that that's the importance here, is to be able to make sure that we know that we're doing the best things for the town residents that we can to make sure that we're providing them that product. And they don't care, as long as they turn that spigot on and it comes out, they're pretty darn happy folks. Now, we can negotiate all the rates and all the ifs, ands, or buts, and maybe not 50,000, maybe it's only 1 gallon a day. But I think that we can negotiate all those different numbers out. But I think in concept, unless there's something that's terrible here, I think in concept it's probably pretty solid, unless KCI tells us something different. Lou, I know you're digesting it. You'll have to digest it.
I'm just wondering, since we essentially draw from the same aquifer, is there going to be any permitting issues on your side or?
No, because neither of us are changing allocations or appropriations. We're relying on what we have. And remember, our system is interconnected all the way from Hocus down to Towns End on the Delaware side. So it's not as if, the water is coming from a single source.
We're not going to draw
any other side of the line.
We're not going to draw any more water from this area than we do today.
Okay, that's what I was wondering about, because they're well through.
Yeah, but all that has been resolved between Delaware and Maryland a long time ago.
Yeah.
And none of this changes any of that. What it really does, somewhat to the mayor's point, especially with economic development. And I've been over here in the county for a while, we're trying to remind folks for years now. We're not trying to just split the pie, we're growing it. And how do you do that? You do it by these kinds of relationships that give everybody the assurance of the reliability. And it's by partnering and working together that we all come out ahead. So to us, this is just a logical, natural way that things should happen. If it were in our system, we'd be doing exactly the same kinds of things. And one of the reasons we are here today is because as we look at things over here, we say, well, you know, if that were us, we'd won. Well, we need to talk to you about that because here you are in this position. You may come out and you lose your well field on the south side of town, what do you do?
Well, I think you started the conversation out with clean. And we've all seen the amounts of water that they're going to need in the future. And we believe that we could probably pull all of our resources from X, Y, and Z and maybe able to handle it. But there's a lot of question marks with those things. And
Exactly.
this could make it more of a sure thing that we know that we can give them growth for years and years to come. But, you know, I'm going to let the experts online tell us that. And we rely on Lou's opinion when it comes to these infrastructure. There's no one better. And if we can make it happen, you would have my support in trying to make it happen. So
Very good. Well,
I don't know how the rest of the board feels that they're all their own, but
because I guess my question might ask, which is simply at this point, if everybody is okay with it, having the technical folks get together in the next week or so, iron through those things. If everything's in line, then we can get into the
Lou, you okay with
discussion of
that?
agreements.
Certainly, I think that would be appropriate.
I think Kevin Lewis at the meeting is important because he knows a lot of the historical side. And
There's no one
I'd rather get his point of view early on.
For one thing, I'm certainly glad we have interconnection up at Red Hill. Let me tell you that. We've used that water a lot.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, and I was going to say, if this was a normal artesian customer, the town, we would never try to support the town through one interconnection because it's too big. It's too important. So this second interconnection, whether we're talking about whether we're originally down on the southern route or this Route 40, really is, and you're right, the number of times that we, even if it's only for 8 hours or 12 hours that we've had to do that, it's critical to have a second place where water can flow through, that a single main break up along the other route doesn't take it out.
One of the issues we face is high turbidity of raw water for a treatment plant. And when it gets to a certain NTU, we basically shut our plant down and go for artesian water and supplement with our wells and everything. But that's our backup water supply. So, and you come from wells. So you don't.
Hey, Lou, explain that to the board, what you just said.
I'm sorry?
The cloudiness of the water.
Yeah, the water's.
So use the example.
I
with
think
the
you
flip.
floated on it recently in your kayak. Yeah, you go down the floodwater with the kayak. Well, all that water underneath you, it'll clog up our filters eventually. So they shut the plant down, they backwater so many times, then they shut it down. Then we draw water from artesian. and
We couldn't even treat that water.
So we have to do that.
And that's, these heavy downpours that we get now, I'm not saying we get more or less rain, but what we do now, we get the rain in much shorter, powerful bursts. And that is going to create your turbidity problems in the streams. So this is one of the kind of things to kind of combat that problem never seen by the public, because you've got enough backup sources that the public never sees. Because so whoever said it, all they want to know is they turn that tap on and it's water.
You hit it right on the head.
And what we're finding is the ability to be redundant and reliability is one of the most important things that you can do today.
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Northrop Grumman will be having more of a demand for water. What about the sewer side?
Well, they're tied into the county sewer system.
Okay.
So, yeah, the county and Northrop Grumman have arrived at whatever arrangement they've arrived.
I think they did recently, didn't they?
Yeah, they recently reached the agreement, and they're doing whatever connections they're doing, and my understanding, as of a meeting this morning, is the county's done the same now with Triumph. So they're gonna begin taking sewer flow from Triumph once they complete the work.
Triumph has a lagoon system, and I know they have problems with it.
They've had huge issues over the years.
Right, that's what I'm saying, so I'm surprised that, we're not surprised.
And I just heard that in a different meeting this morning.
All right, well, we got two of the issues down. What's the third? Anything else?
That was it from our side. Anything that the town?
I have one quick question, and I promise I'll save all my other questions for when we meet in person. Adam, this question is probably for you. Your upstream booster station that currently serves our Red Hill interconnect, would it be that same booster station that would feed this proposed Route 40 interconnect?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
That was easy enough.
Yep.
I'm saving some before we meet in person.
Perfect. KCI, do you guys have any specific questions or concerns unrelated to any of this that you want to address with Artesian? Is there any issues, good, bad, or indifferent, that we need to kind of lay out on the table?
Nothing right now on my plate. I really appreciate the follow-up meeting. I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Lou, is there any things that we need to address?
I just want to say I appreciate the services Artesian bring to the table.
Well, thank you. We appreciate the partnership we've had with the town.
I have one suggestion for this meeting that's gonna come up in a couple of weeks, is that we put together an agenda, and if Artesian has a list of questions that we would like to, have you consider in the meeting, we get it over to your side. And
Just send it to me and I'll distribute it.
yeah, if KCI has some things that we might need to bring some research to the table, I'd like to get those lists of questions so that we can come to the table and be off and running rather than spend the first meeting gathering questions and then having to come back.
I think that's wonderful, John. And the only thing that I have to do on behalf of the town of Elkton, we gotta lower the price a little bit here. Come on now, we gotta bring.
I was waiting for that.
I had to say it, we're on camera, I had to say it for the rest of the town of Elkton. But does the board have any questions or comments?
All of my questions were asked, so I'm good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna adjourn this meeting.